everybody. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with Cupid. I'm your host, Marla Martenson, and I've got a big treat for you today because we are going to talk about LOA with Bob Doyle.
That's right, leave of absence. It's a very important part of any working.
Yeah. Law of attraction, baby. And Bob Doyle is best known for his part in The Secret. Who hasn't heard of The Secret? But, you know, he's really typecast with The Secret. That's followed him around. But hey, it was a super successful book and film. It was awesome. And Bob's a law of attraction expert. So welcome.
Thank you, Marla. It's great to be here.
Well, I just wanted to talk about what happened to you after The Secret. What have you been doing? And kind of a little follow-up, because I know people love The Secret, but a lot of things that people would tell me is, The Secret, it just seemed like it was really focused on getting a car, getting some jewelry, making money. And that was the only downside that I'd heard of it. So what's the component here that maybe people are missing? Or also, you say that too many people understand only the basics of law of attraction, and that's why they make some common mistakes that prevent them from getting what they want and often attracting the exact opposite. So let's do a follow-up to The Secret here.
All right, a couple of things there.
Okay.
So when The Secret came, I'm trying to remember the context of the first part of your questions.
What have you been doing since
then? So, The Secret did obviously put this conversation in front of millions of people who never would have seen it before, or at least hadn't. The dynamic of the work I did shifted tremendously because I was teaching law of attraction for like 3 years through my Wealth Beyond Reason program before The Secret came out. The general public was different. They found it in a different way. They were seeking it. They were already had some familiarity with it. So it was just a different vibe of people. Now, after The Secret, and people who loved the film were showing it to their friends who, oh, you got to see this, right? And not everybody was on board. Not everybody was on board with it. And so a lot of it, and what you mentioned is people walked away with these really simplified takeaways, like that it was only focused on getting cars and stuff. And they completely forgot about the part about relationships and health and world peace and taking action. It just filtered right through. It's all in there, but it's interesting how people fixate on something. Like if they've got a preconceived notion, but this is all about just greed and financial stuff, that's what they'll see. Mm-hmm. But that's not the reality of the film. Now, granted, there's plenty of stuff that that could have been covered in that film, but it was 90 minutes. It was meant as an introduction. And so a lot of my work shifted from, just kind of teaching law of attraction to dispelling myths about the law of attraction and talking more and more about what are the things in our lives that make it seem to not work, because it's always working. Yes. But what we don't understand is, you mentioned the oversimplified definitions like attracts like, and any halfway educated person could look out in the world and see lots of examples where like does not attract like, right? So there's a different level of understanding that you have to have. And we don't talk very much in the movie about limiting beliefs and the energetic impact that they have. That's the resistance. And that's super important. So a person could watch The Secret and it lights something up in them, a remembering, a knowing, or whatever. And they go out and they just, halfway try it and get these great results because they don't necessarily have limiting beliefs or negative things about the things that they're going for in terms of attraction. Whereas they could watch the film but they've got this long history of money problems and fear around money and all that, and then they focus on money, but they're filled with fear. They're focused on the problem of not having enough money, and then they're wondering why it's not showing up, because it doesn't work like that. It's to move yourself into vibrational alignment with something, you really do need to move into the feeling of having it now, and it needs to be the feelings that you want to have while you're doing this work are the feelings that you want to have when these things manifest. So if you're focused on using the law of attraction to solve any of your problems, you just have to know that you're permeating your entire communication with the universe with this statement, I have a problem.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why it perpetuates, and you blame the law of attraction, or you blame the teachers, or you do whatever. And it's really you just don't have a full understanding of it. Now, I'm very quick to say that no one needs to understand the ins and outs of the law of attraction to have a happy, successful life. Right. However, if you're struggling with having a happy, successful life and you keep seeing the same pattern show up over and over again, that's an indication that there's this truly energetic program running. And so and understanding of how the law of attraction really does work, not the simplified stuff, but a little bit more deep, then you can understand that, okay, I'm not sure how necessarily I attracted my current circumstances, or maybe I do now have an understanding, but now I have a choice to attract something else by simply changing the focus of my thoughts and feelings. And if you didn't know that before or didn't believe that before, it wouldn't be possible. It wouldn't even occur to you that you could have control. We're also living in reaction mode, trying to put out all the fires that seemingly are coming at us. And what we don't realize is that we're actually in alignment with those things and perpetuating their existence in our experience because we don't know the power of our thoughts and where we're putting our energetic attention. And so that's why, I get really passionate about whenever I start teaching the law of attraction in my courses or whatever, the science piece comes first so that they can see that this is a real thing. It's not a new agey woo-woo thing, even though it has been wrapped up that way by some people, but that there's real science behind this. And when you can get past the, is this for real, that getting rid of just that layer of resistance is tremendously helpful in getting results with it. Because if you're trying everything with this sort of skeptical, well, we'll see if this works, then clearly you're communicating to the universe that you're not really clear that this is even going to happen. So, it's not gonna.
Yeah. Okay, so a perfect example is I'm a matchmaker and I meet these, men and women who want to find somebody great, but their past have been dating jerks or somebody who cheated on them or whatever. So if a woman says, oh yeah, I want to meet a great guy, but I always pick the wrong guys, or all guys are jerks, or they're kind of like still keeping that in mind that it's not going to work, they can't find somebody, or the past experiences, now they got to be careful, red flags, it's all swirling around in there instead of getting in that vibration of, oh, I can't wait to meet a really great person, right? So I think that would be a good example.
Yes, I mean, anytime you see a pattern in relationships, or any kind of a pattern where it's not serving you, it's really an indication that you do, like I said before, have a program running, and there's actually real power in that, because it's like, okay, well, I got programmed that way, I can reprogram. We can just, with a choice and a decision and some intention and some persistence and consistency, we can change this conversation that we have with ourselves around whatever it is, whether it's the relationships or whatever that we keep attracting. But it is true, the more that people just keep affirming, yes, I'm always attracting the same person over and, well, okay, you need to stop saying that now.
Right.
I mean, for the purposes of explaining to a coach or whatever, here's my situation. Yeah, okay, say it one last time.
Yeah.
So that we're clear. And then let's change the conversation. Just like you said, let's be clear on who this ideal person is. You're very clear on what it's not.
Yes.
So use that to create the ideal. And let's really spend our time being in the feeling of that relationship existing right now. Because that person is out there and you're literally just bringing them in. But to do that, you need to maintain a consistent, communication that's not filled with, oh, but this always happens, or it's going to go wrong, or it's just a matter of time, that kind of thing. We have to be super mindful of what we're telling ourselves, and that takes a new habit of self-awareness that does take a while to get into, because we're also running on autopilot all the time.
Well, even with jobs, the economy was bad. We had the crash 2009 and all this, and my husband and I, well, luckily, whatever, we had no problems. I mean, we worked the whole time, never lost any work. But we did have that expectation that I guess I kind of use that law of attraction. I'm pretty good at manifesting, but I never expected to lose anything, or never affirmed that, oh my God. So I know, yes, and of course statistics will show, yes, maybe there's less jobs or whatever, but if you have that feeling like I can't, get a good paying job, I can't find one, I can't create something, it's just, that's what you're going to get. And so
and not even just, you can think about it two different ways. There's the quantum way of looking at it, because energetically you're not in alignment with getting that job or whatever. So from a law of attraction point of view, that's why it's not going to show up. But also, if that's your belief, then how are you going to just show up in everyday life, in your communication, in your interaction with people? There'll be a confidence issue. You're just not going to communicate, I deserve great things, if your conversation with yourself is, oh my God, it's all falling apart and I'll never get that job, right? So you would not go into a job interview for a job you want with that kind of energy and expect to get the job.
I love, Michael Beckwith said once on his, I was listening to him on Hay House Radio, and he had a radio show, and somebody called in, and they didn't have a job, and it was a woman, and she was really frustrated and depressed, and he told her to get dressed every day like she's going to work, and go out there. Sometimes she could be looking for a job, and other times she could be volunteering somewhere and serving. But she's the vibration and the energy around it was, I'm going to work now and doing it. And even if
Yeah.
it wasn't being paid, it was getting that energy and vibration in motion. And I thought that was brilliant. Instead of
Yes. Get
sitting
some.
home
Get
like,
some.
oh God, I haven't looking at your bank balance.
Get some. Yes, exactly. Get some energetic momentum going, and yes, and so the whole acting as if conversation, it flies in the face of logic and reason, and our ego screams at us and things like that when we do things like that because we're just not educated on how energy works and any part of our energetic nature, and we're just now really as in mass now. A lot of it is because of The Secret and the conversations that started. There is an awakening more to this conversation of energy, and people are more and more interested in quantum physics and the impact of it and all of that. So we're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting there, but it's up to what, a lot of times I get asked, how do we teach our children this and,
Mm-hmm.
for future generations and things like that. And there's only one effective way to do it, and that is to be an example. Like, you
Right.
got to live it. You can't teach your kids the law of attraction and then live completely opposite, live in fear and worry and have negative conversations and stuff. So it's not enough for you to want it for your kids. You gotta embody it for yourself. Not just kids too, but everybody around you, everybody that you would have impact or any kind of influence over.
Yeah, and what you'll say. So, when I was when I was a teenager, I wanted to be an actress, and I moved down to Hollywood from Seattle at age 19. And when I was on the phone with my grandmother, who came from the old school, she goes, well, what are you going to do down there? I said, well, I want to be an actress. She says, Marla, you've got a 1 in a million chance. Just like you can't do it. Why would you even try? There's too much competition. And that was just, but so not saying those things, like saying, oh, well, that's what you want to do, go for it.
Yeah.
So switching that conversation and just not saying no as much as saying yes, or
Yes, that's
why
true.
not?
And because a lot of people grew up with parents who didn't realize their dreams for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So they have their own reasons. It's really, she meant that to protect you, right?
Yes,
This
yeah.
wasn't to
Like,
squash
why waste
your dreams.
your time? Right.
But yeah, nobody wants to hear from somebody that they love and respect, or that they can't do what they want to do.
Yeah.
But and kids will believe it. Kids will go, oh, well, I guess I can't. I mean, some people don't. Some people just say, well, you can think what you want. But certainly a lot of coaching clients come to coaches because they have been beaten down starting early in life about what they are capable of, and they find themselves doing something they don't want to do again because it made somebody else comfortable, or it made them, or they lived up to their expectations and not really following what they wanted to do. And there's a part of this is inherent in the system, because kids go from being completely joyful and playful and exuberant when they're preschool to now they get pushed into the school system, which is so ridiculously structured and squashes passion for the most part, and teaches, real life is not like school. But yet we're in it for 12 to 18 years or whatever. We're just not set up for success with the proper schooling system, and certainly our own passions, except in rare instances, are not really, for the most part, encouraged by the school system. Sometimes the parents will do that and sort of override the impact that the school system can have. Right. And there are schools that are better about focusing on the strength of kids and not making them go down that traditional route. But we've still got a really long way to go on that. That is my limited belief thought today.
Right. Yeah. Well, a lot of people are homeschooling more. And I remember when I was in school, gosh, I tried everything. I tried playing the cello, and the teacher told me I was terrible. I did it wrong, so I never went back. In art school, I wasn't very good. We had to make this like paper mache animal or something, and mine was like lopsided, and the teacher told me I was terrible, and my mother even went down to the school. How dare you say that to a kid? And I was told I was terrible a lot, but you're lousy, not talented in that, but we have to have our own vision, and we have to try anyway. And that's, luckily, I've always still kept throwing my hat in the ring, like I'm going to try it anyway. But that can really squash people's dreams, and subconsciously they won't even go for it anymore. So we try to hold your own vision on that. So, all right, well, awesome. Well, I love this law of attraction talk, and thanks for stopping by. And,
my pleasure, anytime.